Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Um, this is Mornings with Michael. Welcome to my library, so to speak. Hope everybody is having a great week. And it is Taco Tuesday, so go out there and support your favorite taco truck. And let's get on to the news here. This fabulous Tuesday. So we'll look at some earnings. And first, the world news, the People's Bank of China, PBOC, cuts the 1-year MLF rate to 2.5% from 2.65. They're trying to prop up their economy. China, July retail sales rose 2.5% year over year versus 4.5% estimate. Russia hikes rates at emergency meeting after ruble's crash. Policymakers lifted their benchmark to 12% from 8.5%. Second straight increase and the sharpest since immediate aftermath of Russia's invasion of Ukraine almost 18 months ago. Japan, second quarter preliminary GDP above expected, up 1.5% quarter over quarter versus 0.8% consensus estimate. A German ZEW Economic Sentiment Index, Germany increased to a negative 12.3 points in August from a negative 14.7 points in July of 2023. Former Dallas Federal Reserve President Kaplan said he expects the FOMC will leave rates unchanged at September's meeting, thinks an estimate that by the middle of next year they'll feel it's appropriate to cut rates isn't unreasonable. So that was in Barron's yesterday, I believe, or no, actually Goldman Sachs issued that they believe the Federal Reserve in June or July of next year will start cutting rates. Sector news breakdown: Home Depot quarter two EPS $4.65 versus estimate of $4.46. Canoe, GOEV, an EV company, EPS negative 14 cents versus estimate of negative 19 cents. L&L Flooring Board, LL, late yesterday said its board of directors announces exploration of strategic alternatives to maximize shareholder value, including sale. Tesla, TSLA, launched standard variants for its Model S and X vehicles that are $10K cheaper than the regular versions. From news, I hear that they're trying to push out these older models, and they have a new model of these same vehicles that are coming on the scene. Also, newer models on the Model 3. Energy, Industrial, and Materials, Suncor Energy, SU is the ticker symbol. Quarter two non-GAAP EPS of 96 cents, said delivered adjusted funds from operations of 2.7 Canadian billion dollars, including Canadian 275 million before tax restructuring charges. Into financials, Berkshire Hathaway, BRK/B, 13F recap highlights: added to its holding of Capital One Financial, decreased its stake in Activision Blizzard, ATVI, decreased its stake in Apple, AAPL, Apple was the biggest holding, representing 51% of disclosed assets. 3 new buys: DR Horton, ticker symbol DHI, 5.97 million shares. NVR, another home builder, 11,112, valued at 70.6 million. And Lennar, another home builder, LEN, 152,572 shares, valued at 17.2 million. Capital One Financial, COF, net charge-off rate rose to 4.48% from 2.36 year over year. Discover Financial, DFS, CEO Roger Hochschild resigned. said credit card delinquency rate increased to 3% in July from 2.86% in June. And I don't think that's the reason he resigned, but we'll wait and see if we hear more in the news. XP Incorporated, this is a Brazilian financial company. XP quarter two EPS $1.83 versus $1.86. Healthcare, Arcelix, ACLX said the FDA lifted a clinical hold on T-cell therapy treatment for multiple myeloma. Arcelix, which partnered with Gilead Sciences, GILD. Heron Therapeutics, HRTX, quarter two EPS 35% loss versus 23-cent loss estimate. Optavise RX, OPRX, quarter two adjusted EPS 1 cent loss versus estimate of 2 cent loss. Nano Labs NA, ticker symbol, files $100 million mixed security shelf. And finally, in technology, media, and telecom, Agile Software, AGIL, quarter two adjusted EPS 13-cent loss versus estimate 9-cent loss. Akamai, AKAM, files to sell $1 billion in convertible senior notes due in 2029. Getty Images, GETY, quarter two EPS 1 cent loss versus estimate 5 cent profit. Intel, INTC, and Synopsys, SNPS, signed an agreement to expand their partnership to develop a portfolio of intellectual property on Intel 3 and Intel 18A for Intel's foundry customers. Navitas Semi and VTS, quarter two adjusted operating loss of $9.6 million versus estimate operating loss of $12.14 million. And finally, SomaLogic, SLGC, quarter two EPS 13-cent loss versus estimate 15 cent. And that's our news for the day. We'll take a look. First, we'll take a look at our S&P 500 map. Share that with everyone. Got a sea of red. Technology, except for NVIDIA, is selling off. I believe strong retail sales showed a resilient economy, and also some of the Fed talking hit the shares, and Fitch warning hits the bank shares. So that's a story there. Comcast is the only thing up in telecom services, but we got a pretty ugly platter here. You bring up our annuity screen. I'd like to share this. A lot of investment professionals talk about investing in index funds. Well, index funds grow about 7.57%, where an annuity average annual growth is 12.58%. A lot of annuities give you a 25 to 33% bonus when you open an annuity with new money. And once an annuity steps up, you have handed all the risk over to the insurance company, so it does not step down. Whereas the index volleys back and forth with stock movement. So this is how the annuity can beat the indexes. There is also something called index universal life insurance that has similar characteristics of an annuity, And with the state of California and Assembly Bill 567 planning to bring mandatory long-term care insurance for people. And if you do not have long-term care insurance, they will add a tax to your paycheck, whether you're a 1099 or W-2 employee. So they're looking at that. With a long index universal life insurance, you can get a long-term care rider that will satisfy the state. So that is that. If you have any questions about that, feel free to DM me. And let's go look at our screens. I'll look at this a little later. It is selling off a little bit, but it's still in the buy zone. First, let's go take a look at our dollar index. Dollar index is pretty flat today, but it has made a big move. I'm pushing down gold and silver. Let's see where they're at today. Pretty flat as well on silver. Gold slightly down, 43 cents, 0.24%. Copper is dropping. I think this is on the news of retail sales, Fed speak. Got some other copper issues. Southern Copper looks a little better at this moment. The FCX is dropping to its 20-day moving average. So they all hit a peak up here and have sold off. Whether they can be held at this moving average is a big question. But Canadian Euro Copper has fallen below its 50-day moving average. We'll see if it'll get any support at the $20 level. Check back on that tomorrow. Let's look at our bond yields. 10-year bond yield still pretty high. This number 4.09. This is the strong level. As this yield goes up, puts a lot of pressure on the high multiple stocks that are found on the NASDAQ index, small cap stocks as well. We'll take a look at them next. Here's the 20-year yield, 3.46, up 1.08. Question is this a double top? We got this over here, and then the yield sold off. That's the only thing we really have to go by at the moment. Look at the stock volatility index. It is moving up slightly today. Had a huge move again yesterday. S&P 500 is the inverse of that. Surprisingly, it is down as well, down almost 1%. The NASDAQ, Michael Burry of the Big Short, has a huge short position in both the S&P and the QQQ. He's betting that these both are going to crash. 94% of his portfolio is on a short on this. And I believe one other big investor has a big short position. So we'll have to continue to watch that as they both feel that the economy is going to falter in the first quarter of 2024. Here's the Dow Jones, pretty flat. Seems to be the strongest issue at the moment. IWM, where all the community banks are, continues to sell off. Take a look at our financials, gapping down today with the retail sales and Fed speak message. Communications, which was our strong issue, is holding up relatively well. And look at XHB homebuyer index with Mr. Buffett buying up all those shares in the home builders. DR Horton, pretty good volume today. Looks like it's bouncing off of the 10 and 20-day moving average, pretty strong. Look at Lennar, also in this index, doing about the same, just not as strong. And the other one was NV. Take a look at it on my trusty little device here. NVR. Not as good a volume, but this is again popping up above all of its moving averages. And here's an Apple, pretty flat. So let's move on. Metals had popped a little bit yesterday and now it's pulling back. Looks like we got a lot of selling in the metals today, professional selling. Home builders, actually building materials, falling below its 50-day moving average, increasing volume. And let's look at just a couple more. The industrials pulling back as well, much stronger than the Dow Jones industrial. Airline stocks continue their pullback. And the semiconductors are holding up pretty well. So let me now take a look at where the big money is flowing or flowing out of. Let's look at a big loser today. Gapping down, ONON. I had 1,500 shares and I sold these with a 1% loss. Just did not like this gap down on this huge volume. I did, however, buy a spread option. I believe it was 28 and 32. Went long the 28 and shorted the 32 for December. So we'll just have to wait and see. They say their earnings keep growing. See if we can pull up the report in my handy little plunged. After Q2 earnings fell short and guidance pointed to sales growth continuing to slow. ONON has doubled in 2023 prior to the report. So you can see it was down here in 1989, and it had gone up to right around 37. Yeah, 37 was the peak. They're backed by Roger Federer, tennis champion. Sales soared 55% to more than 1 billion in 2022, boosted by the reinvention of his popular Cloud Monster, Cloud Runner, and Cloud Gold brand performance trainers. On running's earnings, adjusted plummeted 66% to 5 cents per share compared to 15 cents per share. They're blaming a lot of this on their strong Swiss franc currency. But their wording and numbers also imply a 30% revenue growth in the second half, signaling continued deceleration. So we'll have to keep our eyes on this. We have Crocs, Skechers, and Deckers Outdoor, which makes Hoka shoes. So this is what's happening in retail. Go back. Database here. In Nuaro and I believe Temu seem to be gaining on Amazon. This is a Chinese company, so we'll have to keep our eyes on this. PetQ, a lot of blue bars here. Their earnings were up 39%. Looks like they're breaking out of a shelf pattern here. The shelf pattern, really tight moving averages, high volume. This was a breakout yesterday and it continues today. Consolidated Water, Cayman Island Company, the development operations of seawater desalination. Highest strength against the S&P 500 that we have seen. So if you take a look at this line, it breaks above this. This precludes the stock's rise. Their earnings came out at 167% growth. See if we can. Does it really say if there's an earnings surprise here? But obviously, investors cheered these numbers. What else we got here? We got Ollie's Bargain Outlet. So what happens here? Like when Target or Walmart find that they can't sell certain items, they sell them off to companies like Ollie. We had some very tight movements here. This means that there's continued support by professional money management. If you look at the dancer, how I turned $500 into $2 million. This is a box pattern. When it breaks out of the box, this is a viable pattern. You can see the high volume. He's a professional money manager, not just your Aunt Jenny is buying this issue. In VO, Denmark biotech company remains strong. We had some strong selling, but still kept in a tight range, even though the selling was strong. Can imagine professional money managers when you got a big gap up here that they want to take some profits. but others were buying into any sales that were going. So this is another strong issue. And ENS, Intersystem, power-related industrial batteries. Earnings came in at 64%. Earnings surprise at about 5%, and buying has remained pretty strong for the last 3-4 days. 1, 2, 3 days up in a row. And finally, the positive side, we got Sterling Infrastructure, provides infrastructure, building construction, transportation solutions. Their earnings came in a positive 37%, a 37% earnings surprise to those following the company. Gapped up, and it just keeps going up the stairs. Now let's see where money is moving out of. In addition to ONON, we have SE, Singapore-based company that was a real sweetheart in 2020 and 2021. Their earnings came in for a loser. It's gapping down 30%. 30%. That may leave you restless in your dreams. Workiva is down 3.5%, huge volume. EFS, Discover Financial Services, gapping down almost 11%, huge volume. Somebody didn't like something. I believe we had that in our news item. Discover Financial Services CEO resigns, and they had a much higher charge-offs on their credit cards. Steel, pulling back a little bit after the strong rejection of Cleveland-Cliffs buyout attempt. Forward Air, ouch, it's like a falling knife. This is why you protect your profits and you sell your losses quickly, because this could definitely be a pain in your bank account. 121 to 68. Not quite a 50% loss, but it's getting close. NVIDIA result inverse, so they're predicting NVIDIA to go down, lost 2.2% today. And Bedell Ortho develops a rapid diagnostic test for infectious diseases, dropping not too bad, 2%, but trend is not your friend. We had this huge volume, 1, 2, 3 days here, telling that everybody's jumping off the ship. And finally, LGN is down 5% today with their earnings due. So let's take a look. EWCO, breaking out of a cup formation. We have low volume on its sell-off, which you would like. and high volume on its bridge above. And how many days in a row? One, two, too many to count probably. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up 8 days in a row. So people are just jumping into this company. And NARI, which develops a medical tool that doctors can, it actually is similar to a needle with a thread. It goes into your veins and can pull back blocked arteries with minimal invasion. Yes, patients suffering from venous diseases. We had a consolidation here, sell off, and here's our handle, up with the handle, one of the more popular formations. Had some good volume yesterday. See what the volume looks like here. I did buy a small amount of shares, and we'll just see where it goes to. We'll look back at a couple other issues. Kava. This is IPO breakout. Came up here. Once it started to sell off, this is, even though the volume wasn't that strong, it's always good to take your profit. Remember, if you can take your profit at 20 and 25% and minimize your losses to 3 to 8%, the math will always work out in your favor. You can't deal with the pain of something dropping 14% on something that you could not see. This is why we recommend an annuity or index universal life insurance with the fund that acts very similar to a Roth IRA. Is probably the best way to go. But that's our report for today. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. We hope you all have a great Taco Tuesday, and we'll catch you on Wednesday.